Hey, how's it going, everybody? Bidverse Andy here. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about the brand new familiar coming along with the Valentine's Day event, Captain Astabeard. So in the new Valentine's Day event, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see there is a hi Cougar. Um, if you scroll down to the event, you can see that there's a new pack called Captain Astabeard's pack. 700 of these golden skulls, which you can get from any game mode. So whether it's dungeons, PvP, raids, whatever, you'll slowly accumulate these. And once you get 700, you can get Captain Astabeard. But yeah, you have until February 15th to grind out these golden skulls. You need 700 for Captain Astabeard. And let me tell you guys why I actually, for the first time ever, bought a familiar from one of these events, and I genuinely think I'm going to use him. So just looking at Astabeard here, he's what I would call a bait tank. So the purpose for him would be on your team to basically soak up attacks that are targeting your weakest enemy, because he would have low HP. So when someone attacks weakest, it will hit him. So we ideally want him to have really low starting HP, as well as a lot of tank ability. So just looking at his stat spread here, I know I've got like 55,000, 11, and 11 here. So I know I've got random numbers here, but his stat spread is roughly 70.5% damage, 14.75 health, and 14.75 speed. So 15% health is absolutely gorgeous for a bait tank. It's right around and underneath a lot of the popular DPSs. Like I know Lurky is around 16%. And there's some other really great DPSs that hover around that range. And you take, for instance, Glarzos, who has a 17.4%, is just above some of those DPS familiars, and can't always, soak up those attack weakest hits, where Captain Astabeard would be able to. So he's got the stats for it. I don't think you could get much better than a 70, 15, 15 here. It's really, really nice. But does he have the tank ability? So he starts off with 35% block chance. If you get 2 mythic block chance augments, those, once he's fully stabled, will each give you plus 30%. So you can have 30, 30, that'll get you plus 60. You can get them to 95% block chance. You can add the third pump if you would like and get him over 100% block chance, or you can sit with that 95. I know it's a little bit awkward, not the clean 100. But you can sit with 95 there and go for something like damage reduction, or even, whatever you want. Evade, if you feel like going in power, however you want him in your build. So I think it's pretty good. If you do, I probably would lean towards going for the 95% block. I mean, you think about 5 out of 100 attacks coming his way, he won't block. That's not absolutely devastating. 95 out of 100 attacks, he is going to block if you get those 2 mythic pump augments. And then on top of that, outside of the block chance, is this 10% barrier. Now, 10% barrier is super rare. I only know of 2 familiars that have barrier. And actually, let me pull up the Bit Heroes Wiki here. So here I am at the Bit Heroes Wiki, and if I just type in barrier, okay, that's an ability, that's an ability, that's an ability. There is only one familiar that shows up on the entire wiki, and that's Kimusaba, a main tank. However, I do know of one other one people were discussing in the Discord, and that is called Bleaksamum. That is a legendary tank familiar. And here's Kimusaba, a mythic tank familiar. So it's worth noting that both of the options outside of Captain Astabeard that have barrier are both main tanks. So this is kind of like, I guess Captain Astabeard is making history here as the first he's still a tank. I was first non-main tank, basically the first bait tank with barrier. Albeit, comparing to Kimusaba's 35%, this is only 10%, but still breaking ground here. Now, if you're wondering what the heck is barrier, let me pull up the wiki here again. And I'm just going to read this out and then I'll explain it to you, because, I'm borderline illiterate myself. So barrier gives a % chance to end the attacker's skill, proc, chain, when you get hit. This stops dual strikes, quad strikes, and prevents the attack proccing pet or set triggers. Okay? And then the rest of this is just like yada yada yada. So pretty much when you have barrier, if somebody hits Captain Astabeard, there's a 10% chance, like let's say that their pet would normally proc, there's a 10% chance that he just shuts it down. If they have something that's going to add combust or EMP on hit, he has a chance to just shut it down. You know, freeze, bleed, all that kind of stuff. Any chance to proc or something that happens after the hits, you know, second hits after dual strikes, all sorts of that stuff is just going to get shut down by barrier. Barrier is one of the strongest defensive modifiers in the entire game. You know, because so often you see like DPS players just going on crazy proc chains. And that's because there just isn't anyone on the team to barrier any of it. So barrier is incredibly strong, incredibly rare. It's only 10%, but because of the rarity of barrier and its strength, this is super, super, super attractive. So I really am a fan of his stat spread. The block chance, I wish it was 40, just so you could get that 100%. But, you know, it is what it is. And then the barrier, of course, you know, again, I wish this was 40. No, of course, both of these could be higher, but he is just a legendary. But yeah, I think really, really strong here. And then diving into his skills, I actually really like his skills as well. His 0 SP is a spread heal right off the bat. Now, spread heal for 0 SP means he's never forced to attack an enemy. If you're scared, if you have an opponent, let's say you're doing like a crazy PvP, and the person in front is just like, you know, a Witchem tank or something, you do not want to always have to hit them. So having familiars on your team that are not forced to attack is really nice. He is not forced to attack. He's got a 0 SP spread heal. You know, just doing a direct comparison to Glarsdos. Glarsdos is 0 SP. He has two of them, which is attack closest and heal self. So I actually think I prefer this slightly just because he has the ability to actually spread heal anybody on your team. So no matter who's taking the damage, he's able to heal it. Also, I love that the name is Love, Hate, Jealousy, Revenge, and Cupid Slash. Kind of funny. 1 SP, nothing to write home about, just damage weakest. Jealousy is actually a game changer for him. And this is another reason I really like this familiar. So Jealousy, shield yourself and give courage to yourself, okay? Now, courage is actually kind of nutty. It's 2 SP and he's got low speed, so don't expect this to use this, you know, every time you're getting hit. But courage transforms the next received damage into heals. That is crazy. So, I mean, you could time this well. If you see like enemies getting a lot of SP, you know, it might be time to drop your SP on, you know, get courage on Captain Astabeard. Basically survive no matter what nuke is coming his way. You know, if it's an absolute atom bomb about to drop on Captain Astabeard, he's courageous. You know, he can courage himself and just tank it. So, literally, a skill like this has kind of unlimited tank potential. You know, in theory, you got to be careful when people are, you know, hitting you multiple times. But if people are hitting you multiple times, like let's say there's like a dual strike, he's got the barrier to sort of combat that. So, you know, something to consider there. Very, very, very strong skill for 2 SP. And then he's got Revenge here. Deals damage to target enemy, which is always nice, and Fury's Self. And Fury's Self just basically makes his next ability that much stronger. So whether you're using it on a heal or your damage, you know, Fury's nice for that. And then the 4 SP skill, Cupid Slash, just deals damage to target enemy and heals self. It's honestly less damage than Revenge. So it's kind of funny. I don't see myself using more SP for less damage, and they're both against a target enemy. I know it heals himself, but if you just get Fury on yourself and then spread heal teammates, you're going to heal for that 74k, which is, you know, it's in the range of the Cupid Slash's heal anyways. So I don't see myself ever saving up for Cupid Slash. And really, it's going to be hard to save up past Jealousy because Jealousy is so good. So I just wanted to call out that some of these skills are pretty darn useful. So you might be asking, okay, Andy, he's decent. Where can I get him? The fusion is very, very, very simple. It just takes Astaroth. Astaroth is the first raid's boss. I've been farming a few of them over the weekend just so I can craft him soon. Not quite where I want to be. I just want one more. I've been really pushing it. It is an absolute fantastic week to grind for Astaroth right now. Not only if you are using raid shards can you get more of the golden skulls, but if I jump in here for the entire duration of the Valentine's event, there's a raid boost. Funny enough, they've got them right here. And that is capture rate increased. Now, I don't know what percent it is increased. You know, it's nothing crazy, but, you know, I've been rocking the Bitgore and I've been using my capture rate runes, just really trying to get those Astaroths. So at the end of the day, I think, unfortunately, you know, this is kind of a heartbreaker for me because I have used Glarzdose for so long. But it's starting to get to the point where Glarzo's health is a little too high for some of the best DPS familiars in the game. And he doesn't have something like Barrier. Or Captain Astabeard. I mean, look, he's looking at me right there. You know, he might just become my main bait tank that goes on the squad here. So, you know, between just having Barrier, having a spread heal, being able to use Courage, he's got a pretty useful kit. So that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on. Make sure if you guys are going for him that you do it ASAP because, like I said, you need a lot of these golden skulls, 700 in fact, to get him. And if you guys are curious about Wood Toth, this familiar here, he's somewhat of a support familiar, giving SP to your team. I'm going to leave a link to World Leader's video. He's going to be covering this at the same exact time as this video comes out, so you can watch it right away. A little bit of a collab with him. Shout out to World Leader, he's awesome. So I'll leave a link to his video covering Wood Toth and everything you need to know over there on his channel in the description below. So make sure you guys check that video out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess the last thing I'll say is if you are trying to get the 700 golden skulls, I have a couple of tips for you. So there's really two scenarios you're in. You're in one like, hey, I want to be efficient per resource. If you want to be efficient per resource, you know, run everything. The only special thing you can do is in your energy when you're doing dungeons. Make sure you're doing the skull dungeons, these D4s that cost 20 energy. Not only are they cheaper than normal dungeons that cost 30, but they face 3 bosses instead of 1 boss, and the bosses are what drops the golden skulls. So definitely would recommend doing that if you're trying to be efficient per resource. And if you're trying to be efficient per time, like let's say you're watching this video and you're like, oh my gosh, I have 2 hours till the end of the Valentine's Day event. Use 5 tickets on PvP, because here, let me just run one. Because if you just run one PvP with 5 tickets, I mean, boom, 3 golden skulls, and sometimes it's a lot more than that. So that is very, very, very fast skulls. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure you're checking out World's video on Wood Toth. And yeah, I am kind of blown away by the Valentine's event that they actually came out with a banger familiar. Most of the time, the familiars from the events are, you know, sort of aimed towards early game players or, you know, not that amazing, but Captain Astabeard has actual use. You know, Barrier, Courage, he's got spread heal, his stat spread is great. So just a lot of attractive things about him. And yeah, I think I'm actually going to put him on the squad, funny enough. Now, does he beat some of the mythic bait tanks? Kind of, and in situations, you know, simply because he has Barrier, you could argue, yes, he beats other bait tanks. And then, you know, the other argument is like, oh gosh, well, all he has is 35% block versus some of the other bait tanks. And some of the other bait tanks have nutty skills and stuff. So I don't want to dive too much into that. But I can definitely say some situations he is the best bait tank because of that Barrier. So because of that barrier and the courage skill. So worth checking out. Absolutely worth at least getting the schematic. You know, you don't need to build them right now, but there might be a time where you really need that 10% barrier. So, ooh, Thick Daddy is sending your friend request. Accept. Ooh, sorry, Thick Daddy, if you're seeing this. That's tough. I wanted to. Anyways, that's going to be all for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys are checking out World Leaders channel. I do want to give a massive shout out to all of my channel members here on YouTube. I am blown away by the size of this list. And it's a huge thank you to all those people who have been gifting memberships on my live streams and everything. Very, very awesome. I also want to shout out the current stream boss, Jason Baker. So thank you for supporting on the live stream. But yeah, absolutely blown away by the support lately. You know, my channel's been growing a lot. You know, we're approaching the 900 sub count, and you know, that's just 100 away from 1,000. So very, very, very exciting. I've got a couple of awesome series planned for when I hit 1,000 subs. So make sure you guys are sticking around, subscribing, and just staying awesome. So that's going to be all. I think I said that twice now. So thank you for tuning in. Check out World's video again on Woodtroth. Until next time, take care and good luck with your grind.